It's great to look at these sorts of how to draw books, which focus on starting with basic shapes in order to form a complex thing like an animal. So you'll find circles, ovals, triangles, and even squares as basic shapes that form into animals in these sorts of books. So they're very helpful and a great way to learn, okay? So I made some copies so you can look at some of them, and I'm going to go over how to get started with something like this. This is the Cheetah Copy, which is a single page. You can borrow one of these, bring it to your seat, and return it when you're done. Some of these are two-sided, so just watch. If it doesn't get to the full picture of the animal, flip it over and it'll be on the back. So step one says to start with circles for the chest and hips of the animal and a head. So I like to start with the body first to determine how big my animal is going to be. If I start with the head and I make it the wrong size, the rest of the animal won't work. So I suggest you start with the body here. Looks like the circle for the shoulders are bigger, so let's make this pretty big to fill the page. And then the hips are a little further, maybe back here. And when you connect the two, you're looking for a curving line that will mimic the shape of this cheetah's body. And it's sort of a curve. Okay, now I can go ahead and add in that head. Cheetah's heads happen to be pretty small compared to their body. Draw another circle, add in the shape for the neck, and some ears, which are organic shapes. They're not perfect circles or half circles or anything. Now, when I start the legs, I like to start with lines first so I can make sure I have them in the right spot. So I start with stick legs just to get them in place and the right length. And then I'll add in the thicker part that you see here. So now I'll go in and I'll try to make this like a big bubble leg. Always look at animals' legs. They are always thicker as they're closer to the body, and they usually get narrower toward the back. And look for bumps, which are basically like our elbows. Those are the joints on the animal's body and legs. The hip joint connects right into the thick part of the thigh of an animal. So with the tail, once again, I usually start with a basic line first, and then I add the bubble part of it. So then I'll take it and make it thick. So I use a light line just to get the right direction and the right angle. Tails, like legs, are going to be thicker toward the attachment part and usually thinner as they go on and might have a little bushy tip. So let's start using our big eraser to erase the things we don't need. Now we have to look for those back legs. From 3 to 4, they add in those 2 back legs we didn't see before, so make sure you look for that. If the animal has 4 legs, look for those other legs. So this paw seems to be a little higher on the page. That's that paw. Well, now I'll add the details for the face. Now this is very small, but basically it looks almost like a very curvy U or a sideways C for the muzzle of the animal. And it comes out off the face. So I don't see this part because the muzzle overlaps the head. And this leads right up into the animal's eyes. The nose is usually in the upper middle of the muzzle, and for a cat like this, a jungle cat, it's usually like an upside down triangle. And then you can go in and add additional details and clean up the size and shape of heads, add hair, add spots, whatever else you need to add.